Christopher, how do you beat the Eagles if the Chiefs and the Bills couldn't? How do you do it?
I don't know, man. These guys are tough. They're just tough. I mean, like they gave these guys a head start. They gave them the ball in the first half. I didn't like the offensive game plan, but they are really good at wearing people down. I really do believe that. The physicality of this group, even without Lane Johnson, who I thought was a big difference for them, because early in that game, I don't think they felt confident running the ball, getting their drive started, except for the touchdown drive. They go 5 runs, 5 first downs. The first downs, they came out and ran the ball. In the second half, as things went, and they set some things up, some of their RPOs that in the first half weren't there, they were there in the second half, but it all came down to the run game. You know, that first drive, they come out and they say, hey, screw it, Lane's a right tackle. We are missing him over there. We're going to run the ball left behind Kelsey, behind Mailata. Kelsey's going to be on the move. We're going to pull him. And I think I counted almost every run in the second half was away from that void that Lane leaves. And they were just so dominant. And to set up those big plays in the red zone, it's like the play to Stoll, the tight end, the big guy with the lettuce out the back. You know, like they set that up because they got a man look. And earlier in the game, on one of the RPOs, I think Jalen got a man look and was a little bit shook by that because they played a lot of zone. And so as the game goes on, not only are they making the right adjustments, but they're wearing people down, and they just will it to happen. And the tush push is so people are tired of hearing about it, but it's kind of a microcosm of who they are. It's like
so is Hurts, though. So is Hurts, right? So is Hurts. So is Sirianni. So is Kelsey. I mean, there's so many of them that personifies the town and the sensibility that Eagles fans want their teams to have.
Yep.
And yet it's taken 3 quarters for that sort of id to kick in on the scoreboard the last 2 weeks. And now here come the 49ers and the Cowboys. This is it, right? I mean, like, this is it. Whether the division or the 1 seed can be wrapped up, essentially. I know there's still 4 more games to go, but this would be a differentiator for sure.
I'm not going to pick the game yet because I want to take a deep breath before I pick this Niners game. And, you know, like with my bias and my homerism, I acknowledge that. I check that at the door. But, you know, they played 92, 93 defensive snaps last night, and the effort was great. I mean, Buffalo dominated time possession, the whole thing, in the rain, physical football game. I mean, they go into overtime. Guys are just – you know, they're hanging on, and you've got to play San Francisco now. And they're a trash compactor, man. They're so physical. You see what they did to San Francisco the other night. You see what they do when they're at full strength to Jacksonville. They're not going to be able to do that to the Eagles, but this is a challenge from a physicality standpoint, from a matchup standpoint, and just from, hey, we just got done taking 92, 93 plays on defense. And, you know, I got to tip my cap to these guys because they really did make some of the big plays down the stretch. You know, that check, well, it's not a check, but I mean, like on the second level, you could see that pick that Josh threw, and it was that kind of game. It was just, we needed 1 turnover. They're communicating on the back end. If number 2 breaks out, Bradbury's going to come down and steal that ball. And they gave the palms check and went with it. And so I just think whether it's the Desai or the offense, like this team is so smart, situationally aware, you know, even the bad conversions against Josh, which I think was a big deal in the whole thing, I just trust them. And so whether they come out of this thing 1-1, 2-0, 0-2, they're going to be there in the end. And, you know, I think that Jalen's starting to look healthier. These are good signs for them. And they're winning games like this. Not take shots at the Cowboys because, you know, I actually don't hate the Cowboys. I was only there twice. Okay, like I just hate the Cowboys like everybody else, like normal hate. So don't think I'm some like Philly homer when I give this take. But like, the Cowboys, how many times you see them down 17-7, you know, 24-14, down again? Like the Eagles had to pull 3 drives out in the second half against a good team down, and they just continue to do this stuff. So that's why I trust them down the stretch.
Well, I think the Cowboys have joined the Dolphins in the 2023 edition of Who Have They Really Beaten? I think that's where I mean, right now. I
don't think the Cowboys deserve that. I think the Cowboys are pretty good. I mean, I'd love to go. It's true. Who have they beaten? But I think Cowboys are a better team than the Dolphins. I just think the Cowboys have to put it together. It's not going to matter if they beat anybody in the regular season. It's always, hey, can the Cowboys beat somebody in January? And so, like, is this team different? We'll find out. But I think they're pretty good. I think they're the third best team in the NFC. But I think the three best teams in the NFC might be better than all the best teams in the AFC right now. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting take right there. But, isn't there something too, Chris, having to part of your journey in the regular season is beating those teams and the fact that they right. And so I guess a game against Detroit for Dallas that's coming up later on in week 17 is one of them. And Philadelphia coming into their house. Like, you kind of, again, making the playoffs, anything can happen. But again, you've been in these crucible games before, do or die. I mean, the fact that you in the third quarter, fourth quarter can put your fingers in the dirt or, the pellets and know you've already done it in the regular season gives you confidence to do it again in January or February, no? Or that's too much?
No, I agree with you. I think they got their butts kicked when they played San Francisco. That stuck in my head. I think they took Philly down to the wire. And, Philly got some calls last night. I got to admit that as an Eagles fan, that was a horse collar and that sort of thing. And Slay got away with some stuff on the back end. But Dallas will tell you, their fans will tell you, hey, we didn't get every call when we went to the link. I think they're perfectly capable of beating the Eagles, especially at home. I think they're capable of beating any of these teams, but they've just got to go finish it and do it. I don't think they shrink in the big moments. It's not like when I see Miami play somebody, it's like they look totally different, than their average day at the office. I think Dallas, they just haven't finished these games. And, San Francisco kicked their butts, but they didn't finish that Eagles game. They've got to finish some of these games. I think they'll be fine. But the fact of the matter is, like I said, there's three of the best teams in the NFL in the NFC, and that's the conversation in the NFC.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.